Welcome back. Thanks so much for staying with us. With no date set as yet for the constitutionally mandated general and regional elections, the opposition People's Progressive Party plans to appeal to the international community to impose sanctions on the government for violating the Constitution once the March 19 deadline for the hosting of polls is missed. Here are the details.
In reiterating that elections must be held by the constitutionally mandated date of March 19th, opposition leader Bar Jagdeo says once that date is passed, his party will inform the international community and appeal for them to impose sanctions on the government.
On individuals in the government for violating democracy. I saw the president himself speaking about this in 2014. There is a video clip where he talks about what will happen in Guyana if we didn't uphold democracy and the Constitution. In 2014, remember when they filed their no confidence motion.
Jagdeo says the coalition government is placing Guyana's future in jeopardy since people's livelihoods could be harmed once these international sanctions take effect.
It would be their fault. No one else's. Because if they were reasonable, if they had been sitting at the table and saying, work with us to ensure that we hold the elections within the 3 months or as close as possible to those 3 months, then they would have had a willing partner. But right now, they're doing nothing and they can't hope that on March 19 they will come and ask us to go to the parliament to vote for an extension just like that. We will not.
The opposition leader said, too, that he will not be seeking a meeting with President David Granger and would only accept an invitation from him if there is a proposed agenda.
I'm not seeking any meeting with him. He needs to comply with the Constitution. You have a president who is driving us into a constitutional crisis. He believes he can just stay there forever. He is deluding himself. And it is a desperate act, and it threatens his so-called democratic credentials, because we are prepared to accept that he actually believed in this and listen to his rhetoric, and the country gave him a chance.
As it relates to the application to the Court of Appeal for a stay of the Chief Justice's decision that the cabinet stands resigned, Jagdeo said he is not confident that it will be granted. Meanwhile, no decision has been made on a timeline for elections, as commissioners from both government and the opposition have not been able to end the current deadlock. These commissioners feel the matter will eventually end up with the country's principal leaders, President Granger and Jagdeo. Davina Samaru reporting for the Evening News.
Now, we reported on Friday that with little over a month left before the constitutionally mandated date for elections expires, President David Granger only intends to announce a date for elections after the courts pronounce on the no-confidence motion cases. More from Jarrell Bryan.
This is according to Minister of State Joseph Harmon, who was at the time addressing the media at a post-plenary press conference on Friday. He was asked directly what is stopping the president from announcing an election date.
Well, first of all, if you are to accept Article 106.7, it says that there is a specific time within which these elections to be called, and the said article provides for an extension of that time. It says also in that article that the president will remain president until such time that there are new elections. And so, matters have been filed in the court in relation to this matter. These matters are still live in the court. And therefore, it will be premature for the president to say, I'm calling an election, and these matters are still engaging the attention of our courts.
Acknowledging that there is no stay on the judgment against their cabinet meetings, Harmon maintained that government and president continue to function. The announcement of an election date would give the Guyana Elections Commission both legislative and executive targets to prepare for. Acting Chief Justice Roxanne George has already ruled that the government effectively becomes illegal after 90 days of the passage of a no-confidence motion. The government has, however, appealed the decision, and the matter is expected to be heard at Guyana's Court of Appeal next Wednesday. Meanwhile, Harmon was also asked if President Granger would be reaching out to opposition leader Barra Jagdeo to request a meeting. According to the minister, however, President Granger has never shut the door on talks with the opposition leader.
You'll recall the last time the two parties met, it was at the request of the leader of the opposition. And when he made that request, I asked him to cite the items you wish to have discussed on the agenda. So now him saying that he would not meet with the president unless he has an agenda and all of that. The president don't meet with the leader of the opposition to have a drink. He meets with the leader of the opposition to deal with matters of national interest. And so for the leader of say, well, I'm not meeting with him for a PR opportunity unless it is this and unless it is that. The president meets with the leader of the opposition to deal with serious business of the state.
Harmon was also unable to say when government would seek to have the National Assembly convene to extend the election timeline. According to the Constitution, only a 2/3 majority vote in the National Assembly can extend the original 90 days time frame. Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
And finally, the Guyana Bauxite and General Workers Union said that they were being threatened with dismissals after down tools on Friday in rejection of a unilateral 1% wage hike. The Russian-headed company has opted to shut down operations in Guyana. You'll find out more in this Saturday report. Striking workers at Bauxite Company of Guyana Incorporated (BCGI) were reportedly threatened with dismissal on Friday after they protested the 1% increase management has imposed. However, new information surfacing today indicates that the mining department at Roussel Court has no option but to close the operations at the mines on Court due to the withdrawal of labor. This came after workers expressed their unhappiness with the company's Russian management, which they claimed ordered them to return to work, a move which workers say is a constitutional violation. As such, the Guyana Bauxite and General Workers Union is calling for management to treat the body as a recognized union of the workers' choice, as they inform the Chief Labor Officer Charles Ogle of the developing situation. The union outlines that it stands in solidarity with the workers holding on to their rights and is even calling on the international community for its solidarity. They are also calling on the government and the opposition to intervene and ensure the country's constitution is not violated. Union representatives highlighted the threatened livelihood of workers and their family units as they say they are continuing to suffer. Roussel has been under the microscope as threats of sanctions hovered, which was courtesy of the United States, following extensive claims that Russia interfered in the U.S. elections. These sanctions were later lifted by the Trump administration. Sheblibel Fanfare, The Evening News. And that's a wrap on this week's Week in Review. Do join us again on Monday at 1900 hours for the Evening News. From all of us here at TVG Studios, thanks for watching and do have a safe and productive week ahead. Goodbye.